there's the experience on the island, which for those who don't know and believe that all of these shows are scripted top to bottom. And by the way, I'm also one of those who doesn't know, because I know that my stuff isn't scripted, but I don't know what producers are doing with you when you're going through that stuff. So some clarity and in all candor, how much of the show is you being you and how much of it is people telling you to do something?
I mean, no one tells you to do anything. That's why watching it back, you're like, holy, I wish someone was telling him to say that, because why?
Yeah.
But no, it's all you. And obviously it's like, it's a lot, and emotions are high and a lot of crazy stuff happens. But it is not scripted whatsoever. I mean, obviously the bonfires were hard for me to express myself and like get to that deeper emotional level. So like,
yeah, I don't know if that's true. By the way, give yourself some credit. I don't think that's true at all.
I think I got better. I think we made progress.
I think. So I was, when you kind of said, hey, yay, that's a great idea. And I said, would you be on it? And you're like, of course. It's just so funny to me. It was like, of course you would say yes. But I was like, I'm so nervous to tell anybody that I'm doing a podcast.
Oh my God. Who wouldn't want to talk with you? Of course.
Well, I think I can give you a list of people who wouldn't want to talk with me. One of them may be your ex-boyfriend. I'm not sure, but no, I think you would talk to me too. So hi, Kaitlin.
Hi. How are we doing?
I'm good. So I guess I should bring the viewers into this, that hopefully if you're listening to my podcast, you've probably seen Temptation Island. There is a chance that some of you only know me from Antiques Roadshow, and this doesn't make sense at all. But that I haven't been on that show in a while, so I'm assuming you know who I am and what I do. But last season it has aired, and we had 4 couples on the show again. And one of those couples was our first ever engaged couple. And I'm thrilled to have one of the former members of that couple, who's now an individual, and probably for the best. I don't know. We're going to find out. Kaitlin Tufts is here. She was a fan favorite, and she's one of my favorites. Kaitlin, thanks for coming on the pod.
Yes, thanks for having me.
I'm excited to talk to you, but I want to also let you know that I couldn't have you on without having my wife Robbie be over here as well, because she's a fan of yours. Robbie, say hello. You won't be able to see her.
Hi, Kaitlin. I'm so happy to see you.
I know. I miss you guys. Good to see you guys.
We miss you too, but it's so bizarre. And I want to talk about what's going on with you. I want to hear what your life is today, but I also want to talk about what we've shared in this experience of Temptation Island, because it was rocky and rough, and your storyline specifically was one of the, deeper, thicker ones that people really got into this year on the show. But first of all, how are you post-Island and in your life? You look great, but how are you emotionally?
I'm good. I'm great. I mean, emotionally, I'm in a lot better place than I saw you at exactly like a year ago, which is wild.
Isn't that wild how long ago it was?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So much has changed. Obviously, I'm in a very, very different place than I was when I met you. So, but all amazing things. Work's great. I've been working very hard. I've been playing very hard, and I feel like it's been a very important but interesting year in like the best way.
In the best way. I'm so glad to hear that. And I'm going to, before we're done, and if I forget, you'll remind me, but I want to make sure that everybody's clear about the business that you're doing and where they can find you and be a part of. I understand it's a fitness business, and if my creeping on Instagram serves me, which it usually does, you've now franchised? Like it's in one place?
Wow.
We officially just announced that we are officially franchising. So yes, we can bring our JaneDo to maybe the other coast. Maybe I can get closer to you guys.
Anything I can do to support this. And Robbie, you don't know this because you don't creep like I do. But her fitness program, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kaitlin, but it's a fitness program, a regimen. It's a lifestyle and fitness culture, actually. She's calling JaneDo.
I love it.
Which I love.
I love it.
It's so good.
And that's so exciting because I remember you wanting to do,
This was actually one of the big issues with you and Hall.
So you're doing it.
Yeah. So
Oh, we're doing all the things. Yeah. So it's exciting. It's great. But we officially announced that. So yes, we
that
have the 3 studios right now. So we're just excited to expand. That's been like my main focus, obviously.
I think you're a badass boss of a woman.
That's exciting.
And I felt that from the day I met you.
You have 3 studios and you're expanding?
Yep.
Wow. That's
Working on
fantastic.
it, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, getting back to the show, and there's so many questions, so many things I want to ask you, but it's a bizarre experience for me and for Robbie, because she's my ride or die on this, is that we go to the island and do the show from my perspective, which is the bonfires only. Like, I see you when I check in and I see you at the bonfires, and I don't hang out when you guys are in the house and doing all the crazy stuff or whatever. And then the show airs, and Robbie and I go, okay, let's sit down. It's Wednesday night. Let's watch the show. And then we're like, holy shit, I can't believe what happened.
Yeah.
And we're, our heart is bleeding and open, and it's craziness. Let's talk about, I don't know what I want to talk about first. Do I want to talk about as the show airs, what your experience was? Or let's start at the beginning. The experience of doing the show, now that you're a year or more than a year away from the actual showing up and doing it, was it what you expected, or what were the biggest surprises, maybe, is what I want to know from you.
Oh gosh. So I guess actually doing the show, sorry, my dog. I feel like the biggest question is going to have, did I keep the dog? And yes, I did. But he's being a pain. Sorry. The experience was obviously a lot different than I thought going into it.
What did you think going into it? Did you think it was going to be like, not so real, and I don't know.
I guess not so emotional, to be honest, because as you met me and we started talking more and more and more, I obviously didn't open up too fast or too soon or too much in the beginning. I really thought that, Hall and I were going to either have a date or be married at the end of it. Like, that was, there was no doubt in my mind. And I was like, no one's going to tempt us in that sort of way. Obviously things happen a lot differently, and I don't regret anything, but
that was going to be my question. Do you regret having gone on the show?
No, that's one of the main questions I get a lot. And I'm like, no, if anything, I'm like very, very thankful that we did it, obviously, because this, as of like a few months ago, my life would have been so different than what it is now. Like, we would have had that wedding date, we would have gotten married, and then who knows what. I
talk about this all the time. It's like, sometimes it's painful. In your case, it was painful, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, and it's a thing that Robbie and I talk about a lot, is that when you see a couple and what they're going through, when we see it from our seat, things are apparent. But when you're in it, it's hard to see what is apparent to other people. And to me, it was apparent that you had love for Hall and Hall had love for you. But the reason, when you guys came to the island, it was like, he wants to get married, and you were reticent of setting up the wedding, was the first sound bite. And by the way, I don't get a briefing on this. I just kind of, whatever you say is where we go. And I immediately was going, well, there's a reason why she hasn't signed up. There's something that is not working for her as well as him. But I'm not going to talk about Hall's experience. But I knew right away, I could sense that you sensed that something wasn't perfect. And that may be the reason why you weren't setting the date. Now that you look back and you've seen yourself saying the things that you've said, what's your take on that?
I think I just get frustrated because the way he acted, obviously, was just like not the person I knew. But I do think it was more so that I needed more time, and I was building out this business, and like, not for nothing, but we did it. Like, we were in contact with wedding planners. So I feel like he kind of downplayed, like, towards the end of the season, like, what exactly this was, like, he's the one who proposed to me, like, that kind of thing. So watching it, I guess, like, when it was airing, it was like really tough. It was a lot like worse than the first time pre-reunion. Like, going to the reunion, I was in a different mindset than when it actually like aired, and I like saw, I think, family friends' reaction being like, holy, what? And I'm like, oh, it's really bad. Like, it was just very different experience, but yeah.
Do you feel as though you weren't portrayed in an honest way? Do you feel like the story wasn't told accurately from your point of view?
No, I don't think like that. I think his attitude going into it being like, we're here because of her and she hasn't set a date, to them being like, oh, I found my person and all the stuff that happened at the end. I just made me be like, how? How? Still don't know how, still don't know why, still don't know anything, but I very come to terms with that. I'm very fine because leaving that island, it was like, okay, will never be anything ever again. There's no coming back from this.
But let me be clear with you. When I said that I could sense from you some reticence about getting married, it wasn't that I'm looking at you guys as you being the problem in that. What I was saying was that Hall was definitely not wanting to get married, and you must have been sensing that. Right? So to me, it was so obvious that Hall wanted to do what he thought was the right thing, right. By you. And you thought he was the guy, but whatever resistance in the planning, which granted may not have really been as big a deal as it sounded on the show, I think was because it was more than clear. It just wasn't resolved. It was more than clear to me that Hall wanted to marry you because he felt it was the right thing to do by you, and his heart was in the right place. And they did have love for you and knew how bad he'd hurt you, and so he wasn't going to do that again. But that wasn't a good excuse. That's not the reason why you get married. You get married. Go ahead, Rob. Tell me why.
I wanted to say that.
Here's the real truth of the show right here.
That the bonfire, that first bonfire, gave you guys a forum, like, to communicate in a way that you hadn't communicated before.
That's a good point, because you said
you were shocked when he said, why
I wanted to see
originally broke up with you, right? And Mark said, have you guys ever said that out loud? And you hadn't, you were like, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that before at all. So the bonfire really gave you guys a place to kind of be honest with each other.
Is that how it felt to you?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Because we never had that conversation really or fully, or I guess truthfully. And like I said, I mean, when you called it day one, like the communication, like we were comfortable, like all those things was so true, but the communication wasn't there. I mean, it still wasn't there years later, clearly, because we should have had that conversation before he did the right thing or what he thought by proposing. So like, yes, it was eye-opening. I mean, the whole thing. I mean, I've never been so open and like emotional. So it was. So yeah.
So, that was never my intent on the show. It was never, when we started the show, it was never that. It was just to do a reality show and hopefully I was going to get paid. Like, that was literally where I was coming from. But when I talked to, and this is the first time I've had a conversation with somebody on camera about the experience, that I'm not trying to make it it's not a reunion show where, by the way, I hate those reunion shows. I don't know how you felt about it.
Oh my gosh. I would have rather been anywhere but sitting next to him for 8 hours or whatever filming.
No, not him, but same. Just in that room was just too much for me.
But it was fun seeing the people you want to see.
You know what I love about that too is that the reunion shows are so messy and to me really, really painful. And then I go home and I'm sitting in the dark going, oh my God, what have I just done? And then you guys post pictures of you all partying and taking pictures together. And I'm like, well, I guess I should probably chill. This is something I'm exploring. I'm kind of jumping ahead. I really wanted to talk more about, well, we can talk about whatever I want, or you want. But it was funny to me is that I have noticed over these 5 seasons of doing the show that even in the worst case situations with relationships that have fallen apart or been really painful, after that, the next relationship, the next approach at love has had a significantly different outcome for a lot of the people on the show. I don't know where you're at romantically, if you're seeing anybody or if you've seen anything. Has there been any clarity? I hate to endow Temptation Island with anything, substantive other than what I know were real conversations. But I guess what I'm asking is there something you've learned about love and relationship from the experience, not from the show or from me, but from the experience in general for you?
No, for sure. I mean, now I am dating and going into every relationship that lasts more than a few dates when I feel like the first date I'm either like, oh, heck no, or like, okay, but I can see potential in whatever this is or whatever could be. It's just a different take on it. And I think because my relationship was so long with one person and we went through a lot of things in life, but it was like, I've learned so much from the show. Yeah. It's like so different. I feel like my outlook now on like what I want and like my next relationship whenever I do commit. But, yes, I learned a lot. And I think I just have a different mindset now, being like, okay, I'm not going to settle for this, or I can't work with that, or I like,
Yes, I was going to say that you matter. That you matter.
Yeah. Did you get feedback? I mean, what I talked to Vanessa a little bit offline after the show aired. I think Rob reached out to me. A couple of people. I think I had a DM with Hall, because when the show starts airing, it's really tough on you guys. What was your experience with the viewers and the feedback? And was there any takeaway from feedback you got from others who saw the show that actually empowered you at all?
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of feedback being like, I hope like you know your worth, which obviously, like I just said, like I'm for sure never settling, or not even settling. I'm not going to, talk badly about anyone, but I know what, I want in a next relationship. And the feedback I got was really great. And I appreciate everyone and all the comments and all the things. Like, obviously this is so new for me because I was not even like very good with social media or whatever. So I'm like trying to like go through everything.
Sure.
I did feel bad about, a lot of the hate that other people were getting. And so it was very hard not to like reach out to the families or to them or whatever and kind of just stay in my lane. Cause I was like, honestly, no one made you say that. And I don't think they could have made you look any other type of way in certain situations. And like, you did that to yourself kind of thing. So, yeah, I got a lot of positive feedback and comments and love. And so I was just really, really, I really appreciate it, even though it's so hard to watch back. And I was like, at some times I was like, well, this is gonna be that episode. Like, I don't even know if I want to watch it.
Do you know what though? You know what's so interesting about that? I feel the same way about watching things back. And I'm talking about literally watching things back. And then I want to just briefly talk metaphorically about watching things back. Even when the bonfire's gone, I'm still this heady pain in the ass. But watching back is uncomfortable for me to watch anything back. But also what's uncomfortable is seeing yourself grappling with things that you had held to be true for you that now blatantly aren't. Like, it's clear, you know what I mean? That clarity of it's uncomfortable to watch, to see you in a situation that you thought was the comfortable thing, and then see how squirmy it could have been.
Oh yeah. And just the progression of like the beginning season to the end, you're like, what just happened in the course of how many weeks and how many episodes? And you're like, whoa, like it was a wild ride. But again, my biggest question is like, do I regret it? Absolutely not. Like,
what would you say to viewers would be the one thing you learned about yourself from the experience that has made the most difference for you?
I think, especially like relationship wise, I think when you're with someone for that long, and obviously you guys are a great example and you guys are goals because what you have. But I think what I did was like, I would ask a lot for my partner to be like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And like, just to trust myself and to stay true to myself. And like, I don't need, at this point, I'm like, I don't even know if I ever need, to be in like that relationship where this and this and this. And I just like, I've kind of reprioritized what I want in the future. And that I can make my own decisions and I don't need to, rest on someone else. So
you just articulated something that I've tried to say to other people in relationship when they're in a relationship funk and trying to figure it out. You just said it probably clearer than I would have said it, but it's exactly that thing, is that I always say, Robbie and I have used this phrase a lot, but wanting something is the act of pushing it away. I've said that at the bonfires, I've said it on TV. I'm saying it to you now. And not needing something is the first step of attracting. And so what you said that's so powerful is the realization as a woman that you don't need to have a partner. But if one shows up that enhances what's already great, then you welcome that possibility. But it's not like a hole that needs to be filled. It's more like a layer that gets to be added if it's supportive and if it's a cake, is the flavor what's missing that makes it even more delicious? But the cake's pretty good already. You know what I mean? So
Right.
does that sound like what you're feeling a little bit? Because that's what I heard you say.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I'm just looking for like your counterpart that makes you equally or like even better than what you already have. Like you don't need to fill anything you don't need. You just want that partnership that only up from here. And if I don't find that, I don't find that. But like I hope to eventually. So
Yes, I get that. Because you're standing with yourself now. You're
Yeah.
good, and you're standing with yourself. So this
Especially-
partner is going to just
Add to.
add to and be that mirror. He's standing with himself, and you're standing with yourself. Yeah,
It's happened so many times in my life to people I've talked to before on and off camera that it's like, I really want to keep people's anonymity, but there's somebody who came to me and says, I can't find a guy because my life is so hectic. I work at really early in the morning. I'm working these big hours. I got all this stuff going on and it's just no room for the guy. And I said, really? That's how you have it? Because I don't think that's how that works at all. I think if you quit looking, and that's where the phrase came up, I quit. If you quit that search and just be open to the possibility that there's room for all the things I'm supposed to have and want to have. The searching and the wanting it and saying I can't because of this and all the for instances kind of screw up. And by the way, that person who said there's just no way anybody's going to date me because of my schedule and my life and everything is famous, and she's engaged and getting married and living the most outrageous love life right now if you just follow the Instagram, it's like you can't get over the beauty behind it. And that's a lot of what you're saying. And I think that the reaction that viewers had of you and I look, first of all, I make no bones about it. I love my dudes on the show, but the girls on the show become daughters to me, instantly. I literally will cut somebody if they were to step to you. That's how much you mean to me from the show. But I think anybody who witnessed you specifically, Kaitlin, saw all those things that are beautiful about you, right? And didn't look at the things that you were saying or others might say were in the way of relationship, like she's so career driven and this, that, and the other. And those are pluses to somebody. Yeah, I think I was the one that said to you the phrase of, you don't want somebody that breaks you down. You want somebody that puts you in a box. You want somebody to build your throne. Right?
Yeah, that was good.
yes, yes.
I got some props on that.
I think that it was rigged in your favor. I really do. What a blessing. And in life, unfortunately, you can't see it like that, when something happens. So
it also happens in a really painful way a lot of the time.
Always. Yeah, it's like so devastating, but what a blessing. I mean, wow, it really worked out.
Well, we hope.
Yes.
That's why I wanted to check in with you.
Oh, I think so. Yeah. For both of you.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what's interesting about it. So, all right. So there's the experience on the island, which for those who don't know and believe that all of these shows are scripted top to bottom. And by the way, I'm also one of those who doesn't know, because I know that my stuff isn't scripted, but I don't know what producers are doing with you when you're going through that stuff. So some clarity and all candor, how much of the show is you being you and how much of it is people telling you to do something?
I mean, no one tells you to do anything. That's why watching it back, you're like, holy, I wish someone was telling him to say that, because why?
Yeah.
But no, it's all you. And obviously it's a lot, and emotions are high and a lot of crazy stuff happens. But it is not scripted whatsoever. I mean, obviously the bonfires were hard for me to express myself and get to that deeper emotional level. So
I don't know if that's true. By the way, give yourself some credit. I don't think that's true at all.
I think I got better. I think we made progress.
I think you were. See, here's the thing, Kaitlin, to let yourself off the hook. It's not the words that you say that's your expression. It's who you're being that's picked up by everybody. So while you may not have articulated things emotionally, like spewing words of deep thought, who you're being was more than transparent and apparent, not transparent, but apparent to all of us, what you were grappling with, how you felt about it, what your stance was, what realizations you were coming from, what choices of action you were then going to take based on how you were feeling. Whether you said it or not, we got you. I mean,
definitely.
Right?
Oh, absolutely.
So I want you to give yourself a little credit there that you were more expressive and more aware of the situation and actually growing and embracing the change far more gracefully than you give yourself credit for, given how fucked up it was. So that's just me saying that to you. And Robbie, I know you agree.
Oh, absolutely. But as it went along, you got more expressive and clearer, and you were kind of like, you definitely opened up more and got in touch with how you were feeling more each bonfire,
And did something that many people have not been successful in, is that you took the hit of the emotional realizations of things that were happening, and you were not a prude about your behavior. You weren't performative in being, I don't want to hook up or performative and going up, I'm going to go nuts. You were gracefully authentic, even in what you're grappling with in a very extreme way. I think that's true to say. I think that's what I would say. Gracefully authentic is what my experience of watching you on TV was, because it wasn't my experience on the island because I didn't see it. I mean, you weren't a stick in the mud. But
that's a great way of putting it, honey.
Thanks,
yeah, she was. You were very graceful. You were very graceful, and it was devastating. What happened?
Yeah.
Oh
let me ask you this, though, just to stir it up a little bit. It was devastating what happened by the numbers. You're engaged. The guy breaks protocol and goes the other side of the island, which, by the way, no one told me was going to happen, and I would not have said yes to. I would not have let that be the way that goes down, quite frankly. But I'm not a producer. But what was I going to say? So I watched all this stuff happen. What was I going to say?
I don't know.
Must have been really good. That sucks. Let me think for a second what I was talking about there.
We were talking about how devastating it was. And you were saying, how devastating was it, really? Because when it went down, right, the way she handled it.
I got problems. Okay.
The way she handled it.
Yeah, I don't think that was what I was going to say. I don't remember, and if I can't remember, it must not have been important. So I guess I'm going to just let that slide. Today now, you sent me a message recently that I loved. You and
oh my gosh,
can we talk about that? Are we okay with it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can say it.
Yes. So I just saw Mike
Zappa from the show. Mike
Zappa.
There were two guys that loved her.
Yes.
And you kind of gravitated towards Sebi, and Mike was like, "Oh, I'm in the friend zone," but I know you had affection and love for this kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we still talk a lot, and then we went to a wedding last weekend and decided to drink way too much wine and then keep calling Mark. So I
was getting these DM, on in Instagram, you can actually do like an Instagram phone call.
Yes.
But the reception was bad, so they would try and it would cut off, and I was trying back. But I responded every time. I was down. But it was so cute. They were like, "Yeah, we love you." Just raging a little bit. So
fun.
I love that relationship has found some form for you. I don't know if it's romantic or whatever it is, but you don't have to say.
He's still in San Diego. So, I mean, we've talked if he moves back to the other coast, but right now we're just friends.
If I'm him hearing this, I'm like, so you're saying I got a chance. Kaitlin, our producer, is here too. Kaitlin, you haven't met Kaitlin, but if a girl that you thought that you wanted to date, like you were totally into, and she friend zoned you, said, "Well, it's not there now,"
That sounded open.
That's hopeful, right?
Hey, if you weren't in San Diego, if you were up here in LA,
I immediately went
that definitely was not a rejection in my mind.
Right, exactly. 'Cause that's like literally like Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying I got to change. To me, it's like I immediately said, well, she's franchising San Diego. They open up a JaneDo in San Diego.
I know.
This is going to be perfect. And I can officiate weddings. So I'm already there. I'm already past that.
Oh, man, yeah.
So I started to talk about this, but I was saying that the perspective of one of the things I say on the show a lot when people say I love them, but, which is what all of you say all the time, right? Is that I always think about like elementary school, middle school, high school, college, and life. That in elementary school, you're like, I'm in love, and then by lunch, you're not in love anymore. And then in middle school, you had those crushes that crush you and you're like, this is love. And then in high school, it's like, that wasn't love. This is love. So I'm constantly coaching you guys on the show to find a new and deeper definition of what love is for you. And maybe it's a justification for the pain that you go through in the process of the show, that I say that pain serves a purpose to help you define a healthy love relationship for you to then experience. Is there any truth in that, or am I just spitting some bullshit? For you,
No,
is there any new definition for you?
I think for sure. I think that's 100% true, because I think what I'm now that I've had, it's been like a full year, and obviously I'm very much moved on from the last relationship. I think the scariest part and like the hardest part for me now is letting someone in and like figuring out, how the heck do I know now if I'm like really in love, or if this is like really the person, or like it's kind of scary, like trusting someone again. And that's what I'm like dealing with right now, that I'm in like a different, better, great place personally. Adding in that other person again, I'm terrified. So I feel like I've learned a lot, and I obviously have different views on what I want my next relationship to be, but that's the part I'm struggling with now, being like, okay, I'm meeting great people, but now what the heck?
Caitlin,
I don't know.
When it's the right person, you don't
know.
You don't ask yourself, is this the right person?
Right.
You just know.
It's so funny you say that, because that wasn't what I was going to say.
Really? What?
No. I mean, I love that you said that, and I think you're right. What I was going to say is separate. They're not mutual. They're not in opposition. It's a yes and. I think the terror always remains. I think the terrified part, is always part of the equation, not because of the future or the present, but because of the past. That the pain of, we have a definition of what we think love is, and it falls apart and it hurts terribly. Right? Because we thought that was love and it hurts so bad. So then to get back on the horse and try again means I might have that pain again. But in fact, that wasn't actually love. That was a version of love, but it wasn't this thing. It wasn't the complete blanket of safety and warmth and support and all the things that a real thing is, right? But the terrifying part is still there, that we could have that feeling again.
Well, yes.
And so hold on, I'm getting to a point. I don't mean to cut you off, except I do that all the time. Except the hope is that we make peace with the fact that we are not going to get through this thing called life without some really painful things happening all the time. And that's okay. And if we can, in those moments, Kaitlin and Robbie and Mark and Kaylin, remember that pain that was so bad that we're trying to avoid didn't kill us then and won't kill us now. And if that's the thing that stops us in the way of the reciprocal, which is the other side of that coin, is the joy of something real, then you got to take the risk.
Yeah, I think so.
You got to take the risk.
I think we all have those.
We've crushed each other several times.
I think, but before we were together, I had a terrible thing happen, and I think we all go through that, which prepares us to never do that again. It will never happen again because of that one relationship. You know,
I guess I take a different take, which is it may happen again and you won't crush and you won't die and it will. But I think what I'm saying to you, Kaitlin, is that new definition that you found, whatever it is at this day, every time we redefine it to a healthier, more authentic version of what actually love looks like, we've actually reduced the risk of the pain. Because if it falls into that category, it already eliminates the toxic stuff that we now know is not part of a love relationship.
Yeah.
So
That's true, yeah.
So I'm hopeful for you. I'm not hopeful. I'm certain for you that, I mean, I've always known this about you, and everybody knows this about you, that you're an incredible catch. And catch is the wrong way. It's a dated word. It's like that you're an object for someone to own. It's just who you are is such a full and beautiful human that someone's going to be grateful to be a part of that life. Your life.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. So before we say goodbye, which we're going to do in a moment, because you're very busy with your franchises, how are you feeling these days, emotionally and love-wise and things like that?
I mean, I'm great these days. I mean, it is wild. It has been like a year, but I'm in a really good place emotionally and mentally, and obviously still very focused on my career. And I think that's like the number one thing, but I'm ready to let someone in again. So yeah, I could tell you so many stories over the last year about dating in Charleston, because when I was in a relationship, I heard how terrible the dating was here. So the stories have been like amazing over the last year, just like memories and stories, and it's been very entertaining. But yeah, I'm meeting some great people that I never would have met, when I first moved here. So it's exciting.
I love to hear the words. I love hearing words like exciting, but I always, when I'm talking to people on the show and off the show, I usually am tuning not into what you're saying, but what I'm feeling from you is really what I listen to more. Sometimes I almost space out on the words, and I'm just looking at you, and it's either good lighting or what is, but you look radiant.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You look wonderful, and you sound so good.
And even the way you're speaking is slower, more deliberate, more thoughtful.
I think it's called happy.
It's
I'm happy, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hope that's what it is, and let's be grateful that it is. Look, I am. I just wanted to say to you, and I would say this to Hall. I would say to anybody on the show, how grateful I am for the experience we've had on the show, and that your willingness to go wherever we would go. I'm talking about you and me, and those bonfires and things like that, and that the greatest compliment you can give me is that you're willing to still have a relationship of some sort with me. And I want you to know that whatever I said on the island was real for me, and it's real today. And if you need me, I'm here. And that's for as long as I can, be here. So
I appreciate it. I need to book the trip to come see you guys.
I've got 2 empty bedrooms. So anytime you want to come,
absolutely.
Yeah, you're welcome anytime you want. And for that matter, anything we can do to support JaneDo and what you're doing with JaneDo, I count on me and both of the listeners of this podcast to support you. So I'm hoping you do some posting to get people to listen to this. Anything you want to say before we go? Anything you want to let people know, set straight? Anything on your mind that you wish you had a forum to say?
I think we covered a lot. I mean, I think my biggest question is, do I regret it? And absolutely not. I'm so thankful to meet you both and for the experience in the show, and it led me here. So, and people ask me a lot if I'd ever do another show, and I wouldn't be opposed to it. But yeah,
are you in Paris still, BFFs?
Yes, I know. I was supposed to fly up and see her for her birthday, so I need to reschedule my trip, but hopefully I can see her before holidays and stuff. But yes, she seems to be doing really great. So
all right.
I think we're all on the up.
All cruising and growing. Kaitlin, thanks for being on the pod. Thanks for sharing your heart on the show, sharing your heart after the show. And we're going to watch you fly.
Thank you. Thank you both.
All right.
Oh, you're so
Love
welcome.
You. See you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.